Hey guys, today I want to show you how we can use effects and automation to make guitars sound like this. So this is something I'm hearing creeping into modern metal production more and more in Mick Gordon's work, a lot of Zach Savini's work, Buster Oderholm's bands, Spirit Box a little bit. All of these guys are experimenting more than ever with automated effects on guitars, and I feel like we're at the start of this new wave of this kind of super complex guitar processing in a way we've never seen before. I kind of think of it as like four-dimensional guitar tones, because until now we've been, as guitarists and producers, developing our guitar tones, doing all these complex things, quad tracking, reamping, multiband compression, all these different things to get a super high-tech complex guitar tone. And I think inevitably the next step after that is going to be these kind of evolving guitar tones that aren't just a static perfected sound, but instead are exploring the possibilities of digital processing to create tones that are constantly changing and moving and never standing still. And I'm probably sounding very crazy and technical right now, and I have been kind of getting into mad scientist mode exploring these ideas, but today I'm going to break down a bunch of tricks for this approach in a way that should hopefully make sense and give you a lot of your own ideas for how you can innovate with your guitar tones. So let's jump in, and I'm going to start by just tracking a riff. I have kind of a standard metal tone here. If you saw my President track remake, I've just reused the same template that I made for that video, so it's all the same sounds. So let's lay down a riff. And on the right. And with this riff, I'm intentionally keeping it quite simple so we can really let the production be the instrument here. The guitar is just kind of a texture. The MacBook Pro is the instrument. So we have a cool riff here, but right now it kind of sounds like every other band out there. It's a very static sound, generic modern metal kind of riff. So let's try automating some effects to see where we can take this. And firstly, the obvious thing to do would be some whammy or pitch shifting. This is kind of a more old school trick because bands have been using whammy for decades, but digitally we can get a lot more surgical and futuristic with it. So let's start automating this to make the guitar less static, and I'm going to use the 3 kHz pitch shifter. Great plugin. I'm putting this in front of the amp, and let's start literally the first note of the riff. I want to do like a whammy dive bomb on that note. So here's our pitch automation and just affecting this note. So we'll put it here. Let's just drag it down an octave, maybe even further. Let's just put it like way down. Already that makes it bounce so much more. Then let's do this note. Let's do maybe the opposite. So pull it all the way down and let it swell up. Maybe not quite as low as that, just because it's getting so low that it's not even like a note anymore. Insane. And of course, next it has to be this harmonic. Harmonics already sound really cool with distortion, but we can take this further. Let's just shoot this one up like a dubstep kind of pitch glide sort of thing. And we can just keep going with this wherever it feels tasteful. Maybe that note there right at the end. Let's pull that right down. Maybe like a little bit of a angle on it. So it suddenly drops. And then these chugs, definitely want to do something crazy with those. Let's try taking them from really low to really high, like really unnatural and digital sounding. Okay, and then these notes, I intentionally played the same note 4 times because I knew I was going to chop it like this and then repeat it 4 times, and then we'll cut it. So it's like really blurring the lines between a synth and a guitar. Another harmonic there. Let's do the inevitable thing with that. We could do it down. Whoa. Okay, then the second half of the riff, I really want to get crazy. Let's get these chugs like as nasty as possible. I'm just going to pull them all the way down. Let's try that. Just let it turn into an absolute mess that isn't even a note anymore. Okay, maybe not that low. Maybe like this. Just have it right at the end drop down. Okay, and then that pick scrape. Let's just try throwing that one up. Maybe we just take it all the way up 2 octaves. Okay, then we get to these super fast notes, which I played relatively cleanly. But in order to get these like inhumanly surgically tight, we're going to do one little trick here. So that was just one chug. I've just recorded one little chug, and then what I'm going to do is get rid of what we had, and I'm just going to repeat this like a digital little glitch sound so it gets really synth-like and just weird sounding. It's going to be like a machine gun. So the relatively tight playing we had is now insanely tight. It just sounds insane. And just before we're done with pitching, I want to do one little trick with these blasts. To make them feel even more intense, let's just have the pitch slowly go up like this. Just makes it feel like impact is imminent. And then on the second time round, maybe we do this the other way. So kind of start high and bring it really low. All right, and I'm just going to copy all of that pitch automation and put it on the pitch automation for the right, so we get the same thing happening between both guitars. So already that's transformed the sound, but we are just getting started here. There's so much more we can do. Remember, we're trying to think like sound designers here, not guitarists. So we don't just have a pedal board, we have a whole DAW here and we can do anything with it. So what I want to do next is make it so that this tone doesn't just have one level of distortion. It's already a very distorted tone, but for certain notes, I really want to be able to dial up the distortion to ridiculous levels. So let's use another kilohertz plugin, the phase distortion. I've got this in front of the amp and we could use any type of distortion. I just like this one because it's got like a really synthy weird sound. It's going to help to make this sound even more digital. And technically we could get really complicated and automate any of these parameters, but I'm just going to automate the mix. So I've got the drive halfway, the tone halfway. Right now we have the mix at 0, so this is doing nothing, but I'm going to sweep this up and down with automation so we can kind of bring in more distortion in and out as we want it. Those 2 chugs, definitely let's take those further with distortion. So let's just kind of go from 0 and maybe even bring it up to 100. Let's see. Whoa, maybe not quite 100, maybe like. So without that, we have the pitching, which sounds cool, but with it, it gets so intense. Let's do a little bit of this as well. Let's try some on that harmonic. Yeah, definitely these big chugs. Let's go crazy on those. Let's try 100. Yeah, get really nasty at the end there. I think that's all we need from the phase distortion. We're just sneaking these things in there so it ramps up the intensity in a way that's still musical. It sounds crazy, but it doesn't sound unlistenable. We're just pushing the limits of intensity. And let's double up on the distortion. I like the phase distortion for the kind of digital vibe that it has, but you can't beat a bit of fuzz if you want to go crazy on some notes. And again, I've just set this where I want it, and I'm just going to focus on automating the mix, which is at 0 right now. But basically every standout note, I want to go pretty crazy with this. This one, just get the distortion ridiculous. Let's put it like, block it out really high here for this note. Just ugly. Let's repeat what we did with the phase distortion here, just basically the exact same thing, but just double it up with the intensity of the fuzz. We're really taking this guitar into like almost synth-like territory. And we're going to take that even further in a second when we're done with this fuzz. Okay, for this note, let's just go ridiculous again. Maybe just try it at 100%. And maybe this last note here before it drops, just try it like that. Listen to that. Just a total mess. Okay, then again, we'll mirror what we were doing with the chugs, and then maybe for these rapid fire bursts, let's see if it works just putting these like full, or maybe like nearly full, and then yes. And even though we're going crazy with effects here, I am being careful to not touch some of these notes. Those two there have nothing on them. So we kind of go into crazy effects world and then we come back to the riff. So it doesn't just sound like a mess. We're just accenting certain notes to really make it seem like there's no limit to this guitar sound. Okay, in a second we're going to go like full dubstep insanity with this, but right now, here's what we've got. Okay, so the next step, if we want to make this sound futuristic and alien, is going to be some kind of filtering. Let's use Kilohertz again. Shout out this company for making the best free plugins. So I'm just going to set the mix at like 50, and let's just set this somewhere where it sounds interesting or alien. Okay, I'm liking that around there. And again, I'm just going to accent certain notes by blending in and out the mix on this. Okay, that boom. That sounds a little too basic. I don't want to go crazy with it, but yeah, maybe just a little bit of comb filtering on that. And then definitely, maybe we just pull it like all the way up like this for that note. Super Skrillex. Okay, I think that's enough. I don't want to overdo the comb filter. I just want to have it in there to make it a bit more interesting. So far, everything I've done here on the left, I've pasted on the right, but in a second, we're going to leave the left like that and do a couple more things on the right to make this even more crazy. But just before we leave the left, I want one more type of filter, and this is going to be a Foreman filter. So this insane note right before it drops into those chugs, I want to make that sound like the world is ending. So let me just try sweeping this around. This is basically going to give us weird filters that give us kind of vowel sounds. Very dubstep. Okay, maybe there. And what I'm going to do with this is just automate it on and off. So it's off right now. Nice. Just feels like a glitch or something. Feels like something has gone very wrong. Okay, so to finish this off, like I said, I'm only going to affect the right channel now because we're going to do some really synthy stuff. So I only want to do this on one side so that we still have the left kind of telling you it's definitely a guitar. It's not a synth. It's just very heavily manipulated. I want this to still sound like metal. But what I want to do here is use this Foreman filter again in a more complex, more Skrillex kind of way. So let's get those chugs sounding like a filtered dubstep bass. So what I want to do is kind of automate this to sweep around and give us some kind of weird vowel sound. Let me try a really quick sweep like this. Okay, I did that very badly by hand, so let me just write that in. All right, so I'm going to have it go all the way up on one axis and all the way down on the other. There you go, and then we just want to turn off the bypass so that the effect actually switches on just for those notes. Yeah, maybe if we blend that with the left, let's see how it sounds. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, and finally, the last outside of the box trick here I want to do to make this sound even more intense is automate the cab to switch off to just accent a few notes that I want to be really harsh and jumping out at you in the mix. Those glitches that we chopped up, they sound cool, but do you hear how they're not like jumping out at you enough? It's kind of just like do-do-do-do-do. I want it to be like ba-ba-ba-ba right in your face. So the cabinet is what smooths out and shapes all of the harsh distortion coming from the amp. I'm using the Auto Audio 1111 here, and if we turn that cab off, it's going to get really intense. Here's how it sounds with the cab on. If I now turn this off, listen to how it sounds. quite awful, right? But if we just switch it off for those notes, they're going to jump out and have that harshness that I want them to have. And I'm just doing this on the right. So the left is still going to sound smooth and shaped. This is just going to give it that little extra push so that something extra is going on in the right. Now with the right channel isolated, that did sound quite jarring, but in the mix, that's going to give us what we need to just get those guitars jumping out. And it shouldn't be too intense because we left this channel alone. So there you go, guys. We have set up a bunch of automation and completely transformed the sound of this guitar. And hopefully that showed you that you don't have to just settle for one static tone in your song. You can keep it changing all the time. You could get way more complex than what I'm doing here even. I didn't want to get too crazy in this video. But honestly, I think we can expect to start hearing a lot more tricks like this. I'm already hearing it in a lot of bands' music. And it's just inevitable that we're going to keep exploring the possibilities of this kind of sound. I feel like the metal world is realizing you can do with guitars what people like Skrillex realized you could do with synths like 15 years ago. It's just a bit more complicated. Not that dubstep is easy to make, but synths kind of are designed to do these things, whereas guitars, you kind of have to find ways to force them to do these things. But it's just a piece of audio. You can manipulate it however you want, so the possibilities are really endless. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe if you want more content like this. And if you want the ultimate guide from me on the entire process of making a modern metal banger from start to finish, you can check out my Modern Metal Pro course. It's over 8 hours of me just giving you my best secrets, things you don't see on the channel or anywhere else. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.